In this lecture, we are going to learn about an operator called convolution. That is, how to perform convolution of discrete time signals. At the end of this lecture, we will be able to understand what is convolution, what is the use of convolution, why we have to go for it, and what is the need behind it. What are the different properties that are satisfied by this convolution operator? And finally, the different methods of performing convolution with an example in each. Convolution is basically a mathematical operation that is performed on two different functions to produce a third function. It has many applications in various fields. Now, speaking about the signal processing application of convolution, if we consider a discrete time LTI system, that is linear time invariant system, and if the system's input is represented as x of n, its impulse response is represented as h of n, that is the system is characterized by the impulse response h of n. Now, in such a case, if we want to find the response of this particular system, this can be obtained by performing convolution between the system's input x of n and its impulse response h of n. So, one of the main purpose of this convolution operation is to determine the response y of n of any particular DT-LTI system. Mathematically, it is represented as y of n is equal to h of n convoluted with x of n. Here, the star symbol represents convoluted operator. Now, we should not take this as multiplication. Here, it represents convolution operation. So, in general, the convolution is represented as y of n is equal to h of n convoluted with x of n. Its mathematical formula is summation k is equal to minus infinity to infinity h of k x of n minus k. The same formula can also be represented as y of n is equal to x of n convoluted with h of n. Here we have h of n convoluted with x of n. The same can also be written as x of n convoluted with h of n. Now, for which the formula is summation k is equal to minus infinity to infinity x of k h of n minus k. Both are one and the same. You can either use this particular formula to perform convolution, or you can use this formula to perform convolution. So, in general, the response of any DT-LTI system can be obtained by performing convolution between x of n, which is nothing but the system's input, and the system's impulse response h of n. Coming to the types of convolution, we have two different types. One is named as linear convolution, the other one is named as circular convolution. The main difference between these two is linear convolution can be performed if the input signal is aperiodic. And in case if the input is a periodic signal, then it is possible to perform only circular convolution between these two periodic signals. So, if the signal is aperiodic, we will be preferring linear convolution, and if the input signal is periodic, you have to go for circular convolution. This is the basic difference between linear and circular convolution. Now, recollecting what is periodic and aperiodic signals. A periodic signal is one which repeats itself after a particular time period. The same signal will be getting repeated for every n instance of time, where n is called as the fundamental period. And if the signal does not repeat itself over a period of time, then we'll be naming the signal as aperiodic or non-periodic. So if the input signal is aperiodic, you prefer linear convolution, and if the input signal is periodic, then you have to go for circular convolution. Now we are going to see the different properties that are satisfied by this convolution operator. Convolution satisfies three different properties, namely commutative property, associative property, and distributive property. This commutative property states that performing convolution between x of n and h of n will be same as performing convolution between h of n and x of n. The same is represented diagrammatically here. The result that is obtained by performing convolution between x of n and h of n will be same as the result that is obtained by performing convolution between h of n and x of n. This is what commutative property is. The second property is associative property, and here we will be considering two different impulse responses, h1 of n and h2 of n. So in this case, performing convolution between the input with any one of the impulse response and then performing convolution between h2 of n and the result that is obtained from this first convolution, it will be same as that of first performing convolution between the two different impulse responses and then performing convolution of x of n with the result that is obtained from this impulse responses convolution. So here the grouping is different, whereas the result will be the same. The third property is called distributive property, in which x of n convoluted with h1 of n plus h2 of n will be equal to x of n convoluted with h of n plus x of n convoluted with h2 of n. We know that there are two different types of convolutions, namely linear convolution and circular convolution. Now in this lecture, we are going to see the methods of performing linear convolution. To start with, before performing convolution, that is, before using the formula to perform convolution, we have to do two basic steps. As a first step, we have to determine the number of samples in the response y of n. We know that y of n is obtained by performing convolution between x of n and h of n. So in the first step, we should be able to determine what is the length of y of n. If x of n has n1 number of samples and h of n has n2 number of samples, then the response y of n will always have n1 plus n2 minus 1 number of samples. So this is the formula to find the number of samples in the response y of n, where n1 is the number of samples of x of n and n2 is the number of samples of h of n. Consider this example. Here x of n has 1, 2, 3, 1, that is 4 number of samples are present in x of n. Likewise, h of n also has 4 number of samples. So we can write the length of x of n is 4. It has 4 samples. Similarly, the length of h of n is also 4. Now, in such case, the response y of n will have 4 plus 4 minus 1, which is equal to 7 number of samples. So this should be the first step in performing linear convolution. We have to determine the length of y of n by using the formula n1 plus n2 minus 1. In the second step, we will be finding the starting point of y of n. That is, at what value of n, y of n will start. If x of n starts at n is equal to nx and the impulse response h of n starts at n is equal to nh, then y of n will start at n is equal to nx plus nh. This is the formula to find the starting value of y of n. Considering this example, here x of n is given as 1, 2, 3 and 1. I would like you to recollect the different types of signal representation. As you know, we have four different types of signal representation, namely sequence representation, functional representation, tabular representation and graphical representation. Now this way of representing signals samples within curly braces is called as sequence representation. And always in sequence representation, the sample with an arrowhead at the bottom represents the origin. And in some cases, if arrowhead is not given, then we will be considering the first sample at n is equal to 0. So here in x of n, we have 4 samples and the arrowhead is not mentioned here. So we consider that this signal starts at n is equal to 0. Coming to h of n, here again we have 4 samples and arrowhead is represented at the bottom of the second sample. So h of n starts at n is equal to minus 1. The sample with this arrowhead represents n is equal to 0. So the sample to the left of it should be taken as n is equal to minus 1 and the sample to the right of it will be considered as n is equal to 1 and n is equal to 2. Now we can say that this h of n is starting at n is equal to minus 1 and x of n is starting at n is equal to 0. Now in this case, our y of n will start at n is equal to, we have to sum up the starting points of these two sequences. So it is 0 plus minus 1 which is equal to minus 1. From this it is clear that our y of n will start at n is equal to minus 1. This is how we have to find the starting point of y of n. Next, we'll look into the procedure for evaluating linear convolution at n is equal to n naught. To start with, we'll first recall the formula to find the convolution. It is given by y of n is equal to summation k is equal to minus infinity to infinity x of k h of n minus k. We know that if we want to perform convolution, we will be given two input signals. One is the system's input x of n and then the system's impulse response h of n. If we compare this with the formula, in the formula we have the time base as k, whereas in the problem the input will be given with the time base n. So in the first step, what we have to do is we have to replace n by k in both the input sequences to get the sequence x of k and h of k. Simply we have to replace n by k so that we'll get x of k and h of k. Now we'll transform this formula to get the value of output sample at n is equal to n naught. So this formula will give the output sample value at n, one particular value of n, which is n is equal to n naught. To get this, what we have to do is we have to simply replace n by n naught. Wherever we have n in this formula, we have to replace it by n naught. So formula will be y of n naught is equal to summation k is equal to minus infinity to infinity x of k h of n naught minus k. Now comparing this with the input sequences, x of k is retained as such in the formula, whereas h of k has been transformed into h of n naught minus k. Now to get this transformation, we have to perform two different mathematical operations named as folding and time shifting. We know that folding is one in which k is replaced by minus k. Our input sequence is h of k, but in the formula we have h of n naught minus k. So to get this h of minus k, we have to perform an operation called folding, in which the signal is folded about the origin to get h of minus k. And once this h of minus k is obtained, then you have to perform another mathematical operation called shifting to get this h of n naught minus k. That is, here h of minus k is shifted by n naught units. So in time shifting operation, you have to shift h of minus k by n naught units, and this time shift should be towards right if n naught is positive, and if n naught is negative, you have to perform a left shift. So first you have to fold h of k, you'll be getting h of minus k. Then you shift h of minus k by n naught units towards right if n naught is positive, and towards left if n naught is negative. Now once these two steps are over, we are ready with the sequence h of n naught minus k. Now as per the formula, the third step will be multiplication of x of k with h of n naught minus k. So here third step is multiplication. Multiply x of k by h of n naught minus k. Once multiplication is also over, then we end up with summation of all samples of this product sequence to get one particular sample value of y of n. So last step is summation, in which we'll be summing up all the values of the product sequence to obtain the value of output at n is equal to n naught. So these steps are required to find the value of one sample of y of n. And if we want to find all other samples of y of n, we have to repeat steps 2 to 4 for all range of n from minus infinity to plus infinity. This is the procedure for evaluating the samples of y of n. Now we'll solve a problem of linear convolution using graphical method. Looking into the problem statement, it states that determine the response of the system whose input x of n and impulse response h of n are given by x of n is equal to 1, 2, 3, 1 and h of n is equal to 1, 2, 1 and minus 1. If you keenly observe the problem statement, here nowhere it is mentioned that you have to perform convolution between x of n and h of n. Simply the question is to determine the response of the system between x of n and h of n. So unless you know that convolution can be used to find the response of any system whose input is x of n and impulse response is h of n, we'll stuck up in solving this problem. So always remember, any system's response, especially linear time invariant DT system's response, is always given by performing convolution between x of n and h of n. So here again, to find the response of this system, we have to perform convolution between x of n and h of n. Now we are going to find solution to the problem of finding the response y of n by using graphical method of convolution. Solution to any problem should start with writing its formula. So here y of n is equal to x of n convoluted with h of n, which is given by summation k is equal to minus infinity to infinity x of k h of n minus k. As we discussed earlier, Before performing convolution, we have to do two basic steps. The first step is finding the number of samples in y of n, for which the formula is n1 plus n2 minus 1, where n1 is the number of samples in x of n and n2 is the number of samples in h of n. Looking into this given input, both x of n and h of n has 4 samples each. Therefore, y of n will have 4 plus 4 minus 1, which is 7 number of samples. The second basic step is to find at what value of n y of n will start. For this, we have to sum up the starting values of both x of n as well as h of n. Looking into x of n, since arrowhead is not mentioned here, we will be considering the first sample as n is equal to 0. So we can conclude that x of n starts at n is equal to 0. Whereas in h of n, since arrowhead is mentioned below the second sample, this represents the origin, and the sample to the left of it represents n is equal to minus 1. So here h of n is starting at n is equal to minus 1. Therefore, x of n starts at 0, h of n starts at minus 1. So, y of n will start at 0 plus of minus 1, which is minus 1. Now, we have got a clear idea about how this y of n will be, that is the response will be. The response is going to start at n is equal to minus 1, and from minus 1 it is going to have 7 samples, that is minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. From n is equal to minus 1 to n is equal to 5. These many samples will be present in y of n. Having known these two basic steps, now we can apply the formula for different values of n and determine its output. First, let us consider n is equal to minus 1. Now, when n is equal to minus 1, the formula will be transformed as y of minus 1 is equal to summation k is equal to minus infinity to infinity x of k h of minus 1 minus k. Here n is equal to minus 1. So wherever we have n, we have to replace it by minus 1. So the formula will be x of k h of minus 1 minus k. Now this intermediate product term is represented here as v minus 1 of k, just for simplicity. Next value of n is equal to 0. Now when n is equal to 0, we have to replace n by 0 here in the formula. Therefore, y of 0 will be summation k is equal to minus infinity to infinity x of k. When n becomes 0, it will be h of minus k. And this intermediate product term is represented as v0 of k. Next value of n is 1. And now when n is equal to 1, the formula becomes y of 1 is equal to summation k is equal to minus infinity to infinity x of k. In the place of n, now we have to substitute 1, therefore it will be h of 1 minus k. And here again, this intermediate product is represented as v1 of k. Like this, we have to substitute all different values of n and write the formula for finding the output sample y of n at n is equal to n naught. That is, for each and every sample of n, we are writing the formula first. As per procedure, to start with, we have to replace the time base n by k to get x of k and h of k. Now this is done because in the formula we have the time base as k instead of n. So first we have to replace n by k and get x of k and h of k. Now since the method used is graphical method, we will be representing all the signals and all the mathematical transformations as a graph. Now this is the graphical representation of x of k. As it is given, x of k starts at k is equal to 0 and at k is equal to 0 its amplitude is 1. So at k is equal to 0, its amplitude is 1. K is equal to 1, its amplitude is 2. K is equal to 2, its amplitude is 3. And at k is equal to 3, its amplitude is 1. Then we have to draw the graphical representation of h of k. H of k starts at k is equal to minus 1. Therefore, at k is equal to minus 1, its amplitude is 1. At k is equal to 0, it should be 2. And at k is equal to 1, it should be 1. And at k is equal to 2, it should be minus 1. So we have completed the graphical representation of x of k and h of k. Then we have to start with the mathematical operations. The first mathematical operation that has to be performed is folding. And as per the formula, here we will be folding this h of k. And we know that folding is done by replacing k by minus k, and any signal it should be folded with respect to the origin. And if we replace k by minus k, and if we fold the signal with respect to the origin value of the signal will not change. It will be the same. Now since k is replaced by minus k, all the sample values to the right of origin in the original signal should be represented in the left, and all the samples in the left of original signal should be represented in the right. So these two sample values which are on the right side of this origin in the original signal h of k has to be folded to the left. So it will come here minus 1 and minus 2. And towards left, since we have only one sample, this sample will be drawn on the right side. So now this will be the graphical representation of h of minus k. You have folded the signal with respect to the origin by replacing all the signals, all the samples on the right side to the left and all the samples on the left side to the right to get h of minus k. Next, we have to find the output samples of y of n at different values of n. We know that y of n starts at n is equal to minus 1. And for n is equal to minus 1, the formula is summation k is equal to minus infinity to infinity x of k h of minus 1 minus k. So if we want to find y of minus 1, we have to multiply x of k with h of minus 1 minus k. We know that x of k is readily available. So we have to plot it again. The plot of x of k is redrawn here. Next thing is we have to find what is h of minus 1 minus k. We have folded h of k to get h of minus k. Now this represents the folded version of h of k, which is h of minus k. To find the value of y of minus 1, we require h of minus 1 minus k. And this can be obtained by shifting this h of minus k by minus 1 units. Now, since the value of n naught is negative here, you have to perform left shift. That is, h of minus k has to be shifted by 1 units towards left in order to get h of minus 1 minus k. As I said, the same x of k is redrawn here, for which the values are at k is equal to 0, its value is 1. For k is equal to 1, its value is 2, and so on. Now we have to get a sequence which is h of minus 1 minus k and draw its graphical representation. So shifting this h of minus k by 1 units towards right will result in a sequence like this. That is, the sample previously at k is equal to 1 will now be shifted to k is equal to 0, and the sample at k is equal to 0 will be shifted to k is equal to minus 1. Sample at k is equal to minus 1 will be shifted to k is equal to minus 2. And the one which is at k is equal to minus 2 will now be shifted to k is equal to minus 3. This is how you will be performing left shifting of h of minus k by one sample, one unit. So now this value of 1 which is at k is equal to 0 is will now be shifted to k is equal to 0. So at k is equal to 0, its value is 1. Like this, all the sample values will be shifted by 1 units towards left. You'll get a sequence like this. Now this is x of k and this is h of minus 1 minus k. As per the formula, we have to multiply these two. So signal multiplication has to be recalled here. This is a basic mathematical operation in which we will be multiplying the amplitudes of both the signals at respective time instants. That is, we have to consider the same instant of time of both the signals and simply we have to multiply its respective amplitudes. So considering these two signals now, this signal starts at k is equal to 0 and at k is equal to 0 its amplitude is 1. We have to consider the same time instant here, that is at k is equal to 0 the amplitude of this signal is 1. So we have to multiply the amplitude of these two signals at k is equal to 0. It is 1 into 1, its value is 1. As it is mentioned in the formula, the intermediate product is represented here as v minus 1 of k and as a graph it has been plotted here. Now we have multiplied the amplitudes of these two signals at time instant k is equal to 0. We'll see the other time instants. Now coming to x of k, it has an amplitude of 2 at k is equal to 1. Looking at this h of minus 1 minus k, here at k is equal to 1, its amplitude is 0. It has no signal value at k is equal to 1. So this 0 will get multiplied by 2, its value becomes 0. Then at k is equal to 2, here the amplitude is 3. Whereas at k is equal to 2, here the amplitude is 0. Again it will be 0. At k is equal to 3, here the amplitude is 1. Whereas here the signal has no amplitude, so it again becomes 0. Looking into the left hand side, here in h of minus 1 minus k, at k is equal to minus 3, the sample's value is minus 1. Whereas at x of k, at k is equal to minus 3, its amplitude is 0. So this minus 1 into 0 becomes 0. Similarly, when k is equal to minus 2, h of minus 1 minus k has some value. Whereas for k is equal to minus 2, x of k, its amplitude is 0. It will be 0. Again, when k is equal to minus 1, the value of h of minus 1 minus k is 2. When k is equal to minus 1, the value of x of k is 0. Therefore, it becomes 0. So these two signals has sample values at common time instants only at k is equal to 0. K is equal to 0 alone is common for both the signals and the amplitude of both the signals at this time instant of k is equal to 0 is multiplied and it is represented as 1. So here this product term ends with only one sample whose value is 1 at k is equal to 0. And as per the formula, in the last step, after finding this product, we have to sum up all the values of this product. Now, since we have only one sample, which is 1, we can say that y of minus 1 value is 1. We don't have any other sample in this product term to add this with this 1. So, y of minus 1 value is 1. Next, we have to find what is n is equal to. At n is equal to 0, what is y of 0? Take and write the formula again. Since n is equal to 0, it will be x of k. H of n becomes 0, so it will be h of minus k. Now these two sequences are readily available with us. Redraw this x of k again. H of minus k already we have determined. Take and draw the same signal here. Perform multiplication between these two signals to get v0 of k. Now if we look at the common time instance of these two signals has common time instance as k is equal to 0 and k is equal to 1. And at k is equal to 0, the amplitude of this signal is 1, whereas at k is equal to 0, the amplitude of this signal is 2. So 1 into 2, it will be 2. K is equal to 0, its value is 2. And at k is equal to 1, the amplitude of x of k is 2. Whereas at k is equal to 1, the amplitude of h of minus k is 1. So it is 2 into 1, its value is 2. Looking at the other time instance, for 2 and 3, x of k has values, whereas h of minus k has no values, so it will be 0. Product of these two will be 0. Likewise, at minus 1 and minus 2, h of minus k has some value, whereas here in x of k, its value is 0. So the product of these two is again 0. Now, if we look at v0 of k, it has two samples. As per the formula, we have to sum up the samples of all these products. So it will be 2 plus 2, which is 4. Now, y of 0's value is 4. The next value of output sequence occurs at n is equal to 1. And the formula for finding y of 1 is summation k is equal to minus infinity to infinity x of k h of 1 minus k. As we know, x of k is readily available, so redraw it. Next, we have to find what is h of 1 minus k. And this is obtained by shifting the folded sequence h of minus k by 1 units towards right. And why we are going for right shift is, here the value of n is positive. Its value is plus 1. So this h of minus k has to be shifted by 1 sample units towards right. So all these samples will be shifted by 1 units towards right, which means the sample at k is equal to minus 2 will be shifted to k is equal to minus 1, and the sample at k is equal to minus 1 will be shifted to k is equal to 0. The sample at k is equal to 0 will be shifted to k is equal to 1, and finally the sample at k is equal to 1 will be shifted to k is equal to minus 2. So you'll get a sequence like this. This is h of 1 minus k. Then we have to multiply these two sequences to get v1 of k. And the time instances that are common for both these signals will be 0, 1 and 2. And at k is equal to 0, the value of this signal is 1. The value of this signal is also 1. So it is 1 into 1, 1. K is equal to 0, the product is 1. K is equal to 1, the value of x of k is 2. And at k is equal to 1, the value of h of 1 minus k is 2. So it is 2 into 2, its value is 4. And at k is equal to 2, the value of x of k is 3. At k is equal to 2, the value of h of 1 minus k is 1. So it is 3 into 1, 3. Remaining samples will be 0. Because at k is equal to 3, it has value. Whereas here the k is equal to 3, at k is equal to 3, its value is 0. Likewise, at k is equal to minus 1, this sequence has value. Whereas at k is equal to minus 1, here the value is 0. So again it will be 0. Now the common instances product will be 1, 4 and 3. We have to sum up all these product terms. So it will be 1 plus 4 plus 3, which is equal to 8. Next time instant is n is equal to 2. Write the formula for n is equal to 2, which is y of 2 is equal to summation k is equal to minus infinity to infinity x of k h of 2 minus k. X of k we have to draw as such, and h of 2 minus k is obtained by shifting this h of minus k by 2 units towards right. Again here n0 is positive, so you have to perform right shift of this h of minus k by 2 units. So this h of this sample at k is equal to minus 2 gets shifted to k is equal to 0. We have to shift each and every sample by 2 units. So this k is equal to minus 2 sample, which is minus 1, gets shifted to k is equal to 0. So at k is equal to 0, its value will be minus 1. Likewise, all samples has to be shifted by 2 units. So the sample value at k is equal to minus 1, it gets shifted to k is equal to 1. At k is equal to minus 1, its value is 1. It gets shifted to k is equal to 1. The sample value at k is equal to 0 gets shifted to k is equal to 2. So this value of 2 you'll get at k is equal to 2. And this value of 1 at k is equal to 1 gets shifted by 2 units. So it moves to 3. Now we have got h of 2 minus k. multiply these two sequences. Again, if you compare these two, the common time instances will be 0, 1, 2 and 3. Here also you have 0, 1, 2 and 3. And at k is equal to 0, this is 1. Here it is minus 1. 1 into minus 1, its value is minus 1. K is equal to 1, here the value is 2, here the value is 1. 2 into 1, it is 2. K is equal to 2, here the value is 3, here the value is 2, so 2 into 3, it is 6. And at k is equal to 3, the value here is 1, the value here is also 1. 1 into 1, its value is 1. Now we have to sum up all the product sequences. So it will be minus 1 plus 2 plus 6 plus 1, which will give you 8. So the sample value at n is equal to 2 is 8. Similarly, the other sample values of y of n till n is equal to 5 has to be determined. Now when n is equal to 3, y of 3 is given by summation k is equal to minus infinity to infinity x of k h of 3 minus k. X of k we have to draw as such, and h of 3 minus k is obtained by shifting h of minus k by 3 units towards right. So all these sample values has to be shifted by 3 units. That is, the sample at k is equal to minus 2 will be shifted by 3 units, in the sense it will be shifted to 1. And the value at k is equal to minus 1 will be shifted to k is equal to 2. Like this, we have to shift all the samples of h of minus k by 3 units. You should not shift the samples of h of k. We have to consider only this folded sequence and shift its sample values as per the given value of n. Now once we obtain this h of 3 minus k, then we have to multiply these two sequences. Again, looking at the common values here, the instances at k is equal to 1, 2, 3 are common for both, and if I multiply the amplitude values at k is equal to 1, 2 and 3, we'll get this v3 of k. See here, at k is equal to 0 it has value, whereas this signal don't have any value, it will be 0. K is equal to 1, its value is 2. Here the value is minus 1. 2 into minus 1, its value is minus 2. At k is equal to 3, the value here is 3, whereas the value here is 1. So 3 into 1, its value will be 3. At k is equal to 3, here the sample is 1, here the sample is 2, 1 into 2, its value is 2. Then add all these, it is minus 2 plus 3 plus 2. So at n is equal to 3, y of 3's value is 3. Likewise, when n is equal to 4, you should get what is h of 4 minus k, for which you will be shifting this h of minus k by 4 units towards right. All the sample values of this h of minus k has to be shifted by 4 units. So the sample at k is equal to minus 2 will be shifted to k is equal to 2. So this minus 1 will be available at k is equal to 2. Like this, each and every sample has to be shifted. We will get this h of 4 minus k. Then you multiply these two sequences. And if we examine this, the common time instances for both the signals will be 2 and 3. And at k is equal to 2, its value is 3. Here its value is minus 1. So product will be minus 3. K is equal to 3. The value here is 1. The value here is 1. Product is 1. If we sum up these two, it will be minus 3 plus 1, which is minus 2. The last sample value of y of n occurs at n is equal to 5. And for n is equal to 5, the formula will be y of 5 will be summation k is equal to minus infinity to infinity x of k h of 5 minus k. To get this h of 5 minus k, you will be shifting all sample values of h of minus k by 5 units towards right. You can either do this way, or else you can also shift the sample values of h of 4 minus k by 1 unit towards right. Both are one and the same. So here, to get this h of 5 minus k, we are shifting the sample values of h of minus k by 5 units towards right. So the sample at k is equal to minus 2 will now be shifted to k is equal to 3. So you'll be drawing this minus 1 at k is equal to 3, and consecutively all the sample values will be shifted. So you'll get the signal like this. Next we have to multiply this x of k with h of 5 minus k. and if I multiply these two, the common instance occurs only at k is equal to 3, and at k is equal to 3 the value of this is 1, the value of this is minus 1, so 1 into minus 1, its value is minus 1. There are no other common sample values between these two, so this v phi of k ends up with only one sample, which is minus 1, and therefore y of phi's value is minus 1. Now we have determined all the sample values of y of n starting from n is equal to minus 1 to n is equal to 5. We have to take and write all these values, and also don't forget to indicate this origin. This sequence starts at n is equal to minus 1, so this sample represents the origin. We have an alternative method in which we can perform the same convolution in a simpler way. And this method usually will be used to check whether the answer we have obtained in graphical method is correct or not. And in some cases, if the same question is asked as a 2-mark question, then you can make use of this method to find the answer easily. And in this method, we will be writing one of the input sequence as a column vector like this, and the other sequence has to be written as a row vector. It is not necessary that always you have to write x of n as a column vector and h of n as a row vector. We can write it in the other way also. After writing it like this, then we have to multiply each and every element of this column vector with all the elements of this row vector. So here it is 1 into 1, 1, 1 into 2, 2, 1 into 1, 1, 1 into minus 1, minus 1. 2 into 1, it is 2, 2 into 2, 4, 2 into 1, its value is 2, 2 into minus 1, its value is minus 2. Then 3 into 1, 3, 3 into 2, 6, 3 into 1, 3, 3 into minus 1, minus 3. 1 into 1, 1, 1 into 2, 2, 1 into 1, 1, 1 into minus 1, minus 1. After multiplication is over, then we have to draw a diagonal line like this. Till the end, we have to draw a diagonal line. Having drawn this diagonal line, then we have to sum up all the samples in the diagonals. Here we have only one sample, which is 1, so y of n will be 1. Next we have two samples, which is 2 plus 2, 4. Then it is 4 plus 3 plus 1, which is 8. Here 1 and minus 1 will be cancelled, so 6 plus 2, its value is 8. Coming to this diagonal, 2 and minus 2 will be cancelled, so it is left with 3. And in this diagonal, it is minus 3 plus 1, minus 2. Last value is minus 1. Now we have obtained the same result as that of the graphical method. And here again, you have to indicate the origin below this 4. So this is how you can perform convolution and find the response of any DT-LTI system using the graphical method, and you can check the same answer using this alternative diagonal method. Hope you all understood this.